Good morning. We begin our time together in song with Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. This is a first verse written by Reverend Robert Robinson in the 1700s and 2 verses added in the 20th century by the Reverend Eugene Navius, UU Minister of Religious Education. Please make sure your microphone is muted and so you can sing as energetically as you like to celebrate this new day we've been given. Welcome. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is my great privilege and tremendous joy to serve our faith as the minister of this congregation. I am so glad we can all be together this morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have a chalice with a candle or an electronic candle, whatever at home to light, when we light our chalice in a few minutes, please be sure you get that together before our chalice lighting in a few minutes. And now I offer our words of welcome. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and to explore questions of ultimacy together. If you are here for the first time or the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. If you believe in many gods, a god or goddess, no gods, or you're just not sure, you are welcome here. If you are gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, transgender, cisgender, or still trying to figure it out, you are welcome here. If you're covered in tattoos or you're a blank canvas, you are welcome here. If you shout amen after each song or sentence, or if you prefer to sit with us quietly, you are welcome here. If you come here sober, addicted, or somewhere on your healing path, you are welcome here. If you are grieving, or if you are celebrating, you are welcome here. Your whole self, all that you were, all that you are, all that you long to be, is welcome here, and you are just where you should be, in a room full of compassionate and thoughtful Unitarian Universalists, ready to meet you where you are. If you are a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope you will find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times virtually and to come and join us in person when we are able to do so safely, so that you can experience the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition. Every Sunday is different. Come and be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. And now let us all take a big, deep breath and arrive more fully into this precious time we have set aside to be together. As sound vibrates through us and around us, let us bring every molecule of our being into this time. Let us be reminded how deeply, profoundly, inextricably interconnected we are with one another, with all of life on this planet, and with all the stars in the cosmos. We are one. Our call to worship this morning is a video by Leah Morris. I invite you to look them up on YouTube and take part in their many offerings. I love this one. I hope you will too.
I've got enough sunshine on my face. I've got enough sunshine on my face, and it's smiling down. And I've got enough sunshine on my face. Today is gonna be an amazing day. Today is gonna be a day I let it be. I can flow. I feel the love. I am the love. Today is gonna be an amazing day. Today is gonna be an amazing day. Today is gonna be a day I let it be. See, I feel the love, so I am the love. Today is gonna be an amazing day.
Today is going to be an amazing day. And if you have a chalice or candle ready to light, let's do it together with these words from Katie Gelfand. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We reunite in the sanctuary of our hearts to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather together in ritual to celebrate our fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms and of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together we honor the spirit of water, its many forms and its life-giving essence. And now I'm going to open our Wonder Box. We are Unitarian Universalists, being curious people. Let's be curious about what's in our Wonder Box. Okay. Huh. Well, what we have is a little cooking pot, a stone, and some water. Huh. I think this cooking pot, all of these things shrunk in this Wonder Box, because it seems to me these are the prime ingredients and tools for making stone soup. And I have a story about that. It's called Stone Soup. Once upon a time, there was a great famine. The people in one small village barely had enough to eat, and definitely not enough to share with others or to store away for the winter. People were so afraid their families would go hungry, so they hid small amounts of food they did have. They even hid their food from their friends and neighbors. One day, a soldier came into the village. He asked the different people he met about finding a place to eat and sleep for the night. "There's not a bit to eat in the whole county," they told him. "You better keep moving on." "Oh, I have everything I need," he said. "In fact, I would like to make some stone soup to share with all of you." He pulled a big black cooking pot from his wagon. He filled it with water, and he built a fire under it. Then he reached slowly into his knapsack, and while several villagers watched, he pulled out a plain gray stone from a cloth bag and dropped it into the water. By now, hearing about the magic stone, most of the villagers were surrounding the soldier and his cooking pot. As the soldier sniffed the stone soup and licked his lips, the villagers began to overcome their lack of trust. "Ah," the soldier said aloud to himself, "I do like a tasty stone soup. Of course, stone soup is better with cabbage. That would make it even better." So soon a villager ran from his house into the village square holding a cabbage. "I have this cabbage from my garden," he said as he held it out for the soldier. "Fantastic!" cried the soldier. The soldier cut up the cabbage and added it to the soup. "You know, I once had stone soup with cabbage and a bit of yam, and it was delicious." Soon a person emerged from the crowd and said, "I have a yam," and soon other villagers offered bits of vegetables, onions, carrots, celery, and lentils. The baker brought some fresh bread to share with the soup. Soon the big black pot was bubbling and steaming. When the soup was ready, everyone in the village ate a bowl of soup, and it was delicious. The villagers offered the soldier money and other treasures for the magic stone, but he refused to sell it. He had many offers for a cot to sleep on that night. The next day he continued on his journey, and the villagers learned that when they all contributed and worked together, they had everything they needed. So now let us sing to the power of sharing in community with Joseph and Nathan Siegel's song, "From You I Receive." We'll sing it through twice. Now I offer this reading from author, which doesn't seem like a big enough title for her, Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free.
circle wide. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide.
I will post that video on our Facebook group, and it will be up on our YouTube channel as well. It's such a lovely, lovely video. Draw the circle wide. That's part of our vision to be a radically welcoming sanctuary, to be a place that people are longing for, the home they're looking for, a place for community and connection, where a circle of hands open to welcome us and eyes light up when we enter. A place where we can bring our whole selves and become more whole. A community where strength joins with strength to do the work that needs us to do it. A congregation of stone soup, where we have everything we need. We just need to see it and bring it and share it. And we have to look at what we need. We are kicking off our pledge drive this month. You all hopefully received something in the mail. It went out to everyone on our mailing list, inviting your pledge for contributions for next year. And the story of Stone Soup is about the idea that every contribution makes a difference. Everyone has something they can give to create this community that is our vision and often our reality. When everyone gives of their time and their talent and their treasures, we have all we need to live more fully into that vision. So I want to talk a little bit about what makes that kind of community. And I've lately been reading a lot of the blogs by Umair Haq. He's the Pakistani man who's the director of the Havas Media Lab. His blog is on the Harvard Business Review, but that's not where I read it. I read it on, it's often in Medium, anyway, I get emails from Medium and I read the blog there. He's also written a book that sounds fascinating, though I haven't read it, New Capitalist Manifesto, Building a Disruptively Better Business. That's intriguing. In a recent blog, Umair shared the concept of horizontal social cohesion. And I've mentioned this in some circles I've been in recently, and I think it's in my newsletter article. In a horizontal social cohesion, in an organization, a community, a society where there's horizontal social cohesion, it's where we trust one another, we respect one another, we grant each other dignity and recognition and grace and truth and meaning. There are horizontal bonds that flow between the people as equals. These are non-hierarchical bonds, horizontal, truly equal. Our American society, he says, is built on a vertical social cohesion, which is typical of a colonizing system that was developed through colonization and white supremacy concepts and culture. In this top-down vertical social cohesion, there's always someone at the top, me above you, you below me, dominate, control, exploit, abuse. Money and power, identity, zip codes, things like that put us higher up, determine where we are in that hierarchy. And we pass it down because we always want to be above someone else because someone's above us. It's a caste society. And I'd recently listened to an author, Isabel Wilkerson, talking about her new book called Caste, that looks at America as a caste system rather than a class system. It is fascinating, and I look forward to reading the book. So our work as a congregation is to be countercultural, to work to tip that vertical social cohesion that's in our world closer to the horizontal, to draw our circle wider still and wider and wider. And we're looking at new offerings. I'm working with our lay ministers to look at how will we increase our welcome? How will we educate ourselves and have the conversations we will need to be even more welcoming? Because we can always go deeper and broader in what we understand about how to welcome people for exactly who they are and who they yearn to be. And unfortunately, we don't have any superheroes in this. That's not real. It's on TV and movies, superheroes with superpowers that can spin the world backwards in time. I love that scene from Superman where he does that and you can redo. I get a redo, mulligan. But we don't have that for real. I don't have Wonder Woman's powers, though I wish I did. What we have are regular people with extraordinary commitment. People in the medical professional with extraordinary commitment who are showing up every day despite the fear of this pandemic, despite the fear of bringing it home to family, despite the exhaustion, and despite having to wear PPE for 12 hours a day sometimes, and just all of the challenges that involves. It is regular people like our National Guard who are in places like Savannah building soup kitchens and making it possible for people to have food, making stone soup, if you will. Extraordinary people with extraordinary commitment, maybe. We think we're regular people, but maybe we're all extraordinary, ready to step into our extraordinariness. So this is just some food for thought about how we tip this social cohesion scale. Our water communion reminds us that we have so many commonalities in our human condition. Even though there is much that is different and unique about each of us, there are common human experiences that we share. Life can be terrifying. There can be despair and loneliness, ignorance and fear. We need one another. We need one another to hold us when we are frightened, to celebrate with us when we prevail. We need one another to remind us that life, though sometimes very dark and challenging, can be good and beautiful and joyful. Life is good. Life is good. We have love. We have love to share in abundance. And the more love we generate, the more compassion we generate, the more love and compassion there is in this world. We have everything we need. We have everything we need when we live in community. And now I shift us to our water ceremony, our water communion ritual. Each year as we gather in the fall, it is our custom, and the custom of most UU congregations, to offer water as a symbol of our connection to one to the other. It's a ritual that began in the 70s and has persisted and grown over the years. And this year I've adapted our ritual for this online experience. We will have 4 periods of sharing whatever water we bring virtually to this ritual, plus the water that I received yesterday in the drive-through water collection. We want to share with one another what this water means to us, what it symbolizes in our own lives. So we're doing something different today. In order to share, if you want to share during this water ceremony, I ask you to use the raise hand Zoom feature found under your participant window. If you look on your toolbar, you'll see participants. Click on that and you will see a hand that looks a lot like this. Can you see that? Like that. If you have trouble finding it, because different devices have things in different places, if you have trouble finding it, send a private message in the chat to Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett, which is where Christiana is managing our Zoom room. And when it is your turn to share, whether you've raised the hand on your Zoom or if you have sent her a chat message, Christiana, when it's your turn, will ask you to unmute and share. So let us begin. We begin this ceremony with water from ceremonies past. Waters from the east, the south, the west, and the north have been part of ingathering water ceremonies at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett for many years, for generations. This water reminds us of our connection to those who have walked before us, creating and growing this community. And this water also connects us to the future generations who will gather here for many years to come. And now we begin. This water comes from the east, from the place of birth, creation, new beginnings, and inspiration. If you have experienced a new beginning, birth, creation, or inspiration in the past year, please raise your hand using Zoom, and Christiana will invite you to unmute so you can share. We begin with water from Bob and Lydia Patrick, water from our newly renovated kitchen, holding prayers for continued wellness in the pandemic and patience for this strange journey through isolation, with a big heart on the sheet. And now for your turn to share. I did not have my speaker on, so if someone just shared, I need to hear what they said. No one shared. Okay. Hearing no further sharing from the east, I offer water for those meanings of water, those new beginnings, new births, creation and inspiration that are held in the silence of our heart. Next comes water from the south, from the place of passion, playfulness, emotions, vulnerability, faith, and trust. If you have experienced passion, playfulness, vulnerability, or faith and trust in the past year, or have some other meaning for your water that comes from the south, please raise your hand on Zoom and Christiana will invite you to unmute so that you can share. And I offer from me water from the creek behind our house that rises and cleanses our labyrinth, reminding us to be humble and patient and to be reminded of the abundance that we are able to enjoy.
This is Dave and Peggy Avert. We offer water from the Dart River, which is on the South Island of New Zealand. We had a jet boat ride there, and 60 kilometers of jet boat ride, but also we stopped in a couple of absolutely magical places, and it was just a wonderful experience.
I submitted a video of Anarubi Falls in Georgia, where my husband and I went on our honeymoon 43 years ago. And that was a very special time for us. Nice to be back in the same state again. Thank you.
And we
I
offer
contribute
this
the
water
water.
for those experiences. One more, sorry.
I offer the water from behind my house in the creek that had been flooded. It now flows wonderfully now that the beavers have taken a vacation.
With joy, I pour this water. And now I offer water for those experiences of passion, playfulness, emotions, vulnerability, faith, and trust that are held in silence in our heart. We turn to waters from the west. Place of abundance, harvest, maturity, strength, and transformation. If you have experienced something of the West, abundance, harvest, maturity, strength, or transformation in the past year, please raise your hand on Zoom and Christiana will invite you to unmute so you can share. And I have 3 that were offered yesterday from our water collection. I'll offer those first. Communion water from the Kellys. This water is a blend of full moon energies and rainwater that contain developing tadpoles. It resonates with the power of the West and transformation. This water is derived from my tap in my home as I stayed home this summer and part of this winter and this spring and going in on this fall. I affirmed such gratitude for clean tap water. It waters the humans, canines, felines, and the house flora and fauna. Truly a miracle that flows. I also am filled with the gift of an intense love of life and thus all life, essentials including this most precious water of life. This is rain barrel water. It has helped water our apple trees, which gave us a bountiful harvest, and I was given an apple from that tree, and it was delicious. And now I offer you to unmute and share your stories of meaning of water from the West.
This is Christiana. I symbolically offer water from the Atlantic Ocean. We had opportunity to visit there this year after not having touched ocean for many, many years. And I am always reminded upon gazing upon the ocean, touching the ocean water, that it connects all of the nations, all of humanity, all of life on the earth. The lands and the waters all flow from and to the oceans, and it's tremendously meaningful to me.
And now we pour water for the West that is held in the sanctuary of the heart, all those meanings for that water. We turn to the North, the place of clarity, wisdom, silence, peacefulness, and death and grief. If you have experienced clarity, wisdom, silence, peacefulness, or grief in the past year, and you would like water named for the meaning that you have gained from this, please raise your hand and Christiana will invite you to unmute so you can share. We begin with water. That is the tears of grief for the transition of a dear friend who left this mortal coil on Saturday, from Rob Cole.
Good morning, this is Joanna. Hi, everyone. I offer symbolic water from the Catskill Mountains, where I went for a 2-day camping trip seeking connection to nature and wisdom and clarity and peace. And I wish you all the same.
I'd like to offer one. Water from the north, from the Red Cedar River. It's symbolic water, but it would be from a wonderful trip that I was able to take with my dearest wife and was able to hug someone else outside of our usual home, in that our son and our daughter-in-law.
And we pour the remainder for all that water means to us, for the ways it sustains us, cleanses us, nourishes us, and the ways in which we can look at it, look to it for meaning in our lives. And most especially for the way that water connects us profoundly, inextricably with all of life. This water reminds us of all the sources of truth and beauty that guide our quest for meaning and purpose in our lives. May this congregation serve as a container of trust, compassion, and inquiry as we walk towards our vision of radical welcome and joyfully nurturing connections and community with curiosity, courage, and compassion. May this water we have gathered here remind us of the abundance in our lives, the blessings of the earth that sustains us, and the gifts of community that remind us that we have all we need when we come together to nurture and nourish one another in body and spirit. During this time of physical distancing and having a lot of time at home, our Yarns from the Heart team have been busy. I have here on this table, and I know you can't see them well, and I wish you were here to see, but we have an abundance of care shawls, receiving blankets, and even a quilt for us to bless today. There's well over a dozen items here, all touching one another, so they all receive the blessing equally. When we do this together and at an in-person worship service, we invite everyone to come to the center of the sanctuary and place their hands on the shawls and offer their prayers and blessings of love and healing, care and compassion for all who will receive them. So we're going to do something a little different because we need these care shawls. I've been delivering a lot of care shawls these past 6 months, and I need to get these blessed and into the stock. I invite you to join me in a virtual laying on of hands. I've done this in a couple of ordination ceremonies recently, and I found it to be incredibly powerful. So now I invite you to set your screen to gallery mode, and I will do the same so we can see one another more fully. I ask you to begin by feeling the solidity of the earth beneath you. Feel the earth holding you and each of us. Then feel the vast openness of the heavens above you. And imagine your body as a vessel joining the two, the healing energy of the earth and the unlimited possibilities of the universe. Feel that energy in your body and focus it into your hands. Put your hands outward towards your screen, your camera, as I offer these words of blessing. Focus all your energy, your healing energy from your hands and extend it out to these beautiful fiber creations. Imagine the people who will receive these gifts, celebrating a new baby, persevering through illness or life challenges, or grieving the loss of a beloved. We bless these shawls and blankets with the healing power of abiding love. May all who receive these care shawls feel the warmth of community and healing energy that holds them so close. Now imagine people in our wider community across our country who are scared, lonely, ill, facing challenges during this time. Send forth this healing energy that they may feel the warmth of community. Know that they aren't alone. And imagine people around the globe, grieving, fearful, hungry, homeless, yearning for stability and connection, and send forth this healing energy that they may know the warmth of community and know they are not alone. Finally, imagine the earth, our beautiful blue boat home, all the places that are on fire, experiencing drought, flood, famine, all the beings suffering as climate chaos wreaks havoc on our planet. Send forth your healing energy. Imagine the earth held by our love, held by our gratitude, held by our joy for all the beauty and sustenance we receive that nurtures us in body and spirit. May it be so. And now join me in singing hymn number 1046, I think it is, or 40. What doesn't matter? You don't have a hymnal there maybe, but we're going to have the words on the screen. A little choked up from that, all that energy coming here. We're going to sing Shall We Gather at the River by Robert Lowry. Please join me, and you can return to your present our view.
Shall we gather at the river, where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river, gather with the saints at the river.
Good morning. My name is Tony Nastri, and I'm a pledge-ophobe. I have been asked to head up the pledge drive this year, so I am speaking to you today as we kick it off. I find any type of financial commitment scary, but I am especially intimidated by one to a congregation. Maybe it's because of echoes of my Catholic upbringing, which are telling me it's especially bad if I'm unable to fulfill my promise to a spiritual organization. For whatever reason, the yearly pledge form usually sits around our house, floating from spot to spot as I stare at it with a guilty conscience. If you're like me, you know what I'm talking about, and I'm wondering if any of these thoughts seem familiar. I'll just give what I can when I can. There's no need for me to commit. I give generously. I'll complete it tomorrow. And my personal favorite, this year I'm going to tithe a full 10%, so I need to pull out a calculator and my pay stubs, which I don't have time for right now, so I'll do tomorrow. If thoughts like these are keeping you from completing the pledge form, I urge you to take a deep breath and push yourself through it. If you've pledged in the past and are not intimidated by the process, great. I would simply ask that you pledge again and consider increasing your commitment if possible. But if you have never pledged, I would like you to understand that there is power in pledging. When you pledge, your UUCG family can plan for the year. We can create a plan to improve our landscaping and facilities. We can create a plan to support our members through times of crisis. We can create a plan to support the programs that give purpose to so many of our members. We need your pledge in order to plan. Again, I, of all people, understand how scary making any type of financial commitment can be. But many of us drink coffee. For some, that's a spiritual experience. The ritual of preparation and consumption, the awakening of the senses, the quickening of mind and body. And yet coffee is a financial commitment. Whether you're purchasing ingredients to make it home, preferably from the UUCG Fair Trade Store, or you're patronizing a local coffee house or swinging by a national chain, you are committing your financial resources to a habit that brings you joy. Many of us work out. For some, that's a spiritual experience. Taking care of the vehicle that houses all of that which makes us, us, relieving stress and tension, clearing our heads so that we can be more fully in touch with our loved ones in our world. And yet that too is a financial commitment. Whether you work out at a gym or run trails through nature, you're committing your financial resources to a practice that brings you joy. Many of us have pets. For some, that's a spiritual experience. The love and joy that our furred and feathered and scaly family members bring us is unconditional and boundless. And yet that too is a financial commitment. Whether you simply fill the bird feeder or provide spa treatments to your purebred, you are committing your financial resources to a being that brings you joy. If you stopped to add up the yearly cost of drinking coffee or working out or adopting a pet, you might find that intimidating too. So intimidating that you didn't allow yourself to indulge those experiences that bring joy to your life and by extension to those around you. And that would be a very sad thing. Well, making a commitment to UUCG is no different. If this congregation brings you joy, if this congregation feeds your soul, if this congregation sustains you in turbulent times, I ask you to make a financial commitment to it as you do everything else that brings you joy. And while I encourage you to pledge generously if that's too scary, then please understand that no pledge is too small. If you, like me, are terrified of pledging, I am literally begging you to pick up that form or go online if you prefer and make your pledge. And if you had planned not to pledge at all because the process was so intimidating, then I beg you to pledge just $1 per week. Get used to the process of pledging so that next year it isn't so scary, and next year you can increase your pledge. In the story of Stone Soup, each of the villagers contributed something. Whether it was big or little, they gave what they could, and in the end, what they created together was greater than the sum of its parts. Your pledge forms are your contribution to the Stone Soup that is UUCG. Please return yours today.
Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world, and to this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization selected by our Give Away the Plate committee. Our third quarter plate recipient is El Refugio, located in Lumpkin, Georgia. El Refugio provides the Ministry of Hospitality and Visitation, serving immigrants at Stewart Detention Center and their loved ones. Many people in our congregation have taken part in this important ministry by visiting prisoners at Stewart Detention Center, assisting at the hospitality house, and donating much-needed supplies for the house and for the immigrants who are deported or released. September is our last month in this quarter's collection, so let's really bring it in September. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation, so I ask that you please give generously to support the work of this really vital ministry in the wider community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Coming from the Fountain by Enrique Granados, you will see on the screen ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG to the address shown. If you are worshiping with us for the first time, your presence with us today is a great gift to us. Please, you may choose to let the plate pass if you choose to. The offering will now be most gratefully received. May the generous gifts received today and throughout the week move us towards realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. I am so grateful for Tony Nastri for leading our pledge drive this year with assistance from Lorena Griffin and for his thoughtful reflection on pledging. I am also grateful for Christiana McQuain for managing the Zoom room and Russ Taddeo for running video and sound. And now is the time for our call to connection. I know it is not always easy to feel connected during this time, so these are those opportunities for us. And you'll have to pardon me just a moment. I need to make a technical adjustment here. Okay, thank you. So, our call to connection. If you are new to our congregation, if you're just started visiting with us, I encourage you to text welcoming to this number so you can receive a few texts and emails for a few weeks to guide you in connecting. You'll get more information about our congregation. It lasts for just a few weeks and then it stops. So it's not a long time texting or email commitment. And you can also register for events on our website. Check us out on Facebook. And if you want to get our weekly e-news, you can request that by sending an email to info@uucg.org and ask to be put on our mailing list. Also, for those who are new to our congregation, we have a visitor orientation program next Sunday at 12:30 called UU 101. For those who have been through 101 and are wanting to learn more about the path to membership, I will be offering the 102 program next Sunday. You can register for those on our website. If you're looking for ways to be of service, we have backpacks for Corley students are still being collected. They are needed. The bin is outside of the church entrance, so please put them in there. And also look for information about UU the Vote. We're ramping up our efforts to help to get the vote out for this fall's election. It's a nonpartisan project to get people make sure they're showing up to exercise their democratic privilege. And for all of those who help to support the Landon Myers Eagle Scout project, thank you very much. This is almost complete. A few little tweaks to make, but there's a photo of it and it's just lovely. And we have a lot of work ourselves to do in the landscaping around it, but the trail is complete. Thank you, Landon. And for our elementary religious exploration program, today we're asking families to do things at home because we have other activities today that include children. So in our Spiral Scouts program, so for the religious exploration program, it is best you need to register for that, and you can do that online. And I believe the link is in your chat room and in the chat there, and if you've registered, then you will receive an email with the materials for your at-home religious exploration program, which you can do anytime during the week. Our adult exploration program next Sunday will focus on engaging with nature's restorative power and tapping into all our senses. Return to the wild. It sounds fabulous. Please show up for that. And next, on this Wednesday, on the first and third Wednesday, and I believe that is this week, we have Yarns from the Heart. So join them at 10 o'clock. They make beautiful prayer shawls and other things too. And drop in chat with me on Wednesday from 2 to 3. Please come and visit and talk about whatever's on your heart or mind. And we have fascinating conversations. Please join me. And on Thursdays, we have happy hour at 6 o'clock. Come and bring a beverage of your choice of any type and come and gather with others just for some casual conversation. And check our e-news and our UUCG newsletter and our calendar on our website for more ways to connect. And we now have the resources, we will have the resources we need in a week to begin creating our own virtual choir creations. So if you've been away from our choir check-ins for a while, come back in so you can learn what we're going to be doing and take part in that. And if you are a singer and you haven't joined the choir, come and join us on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock and learn about the things we're going to be doing. And Belief Explorations is today after the service. Say together the words we say as we extinguish our chalice, and after that we'll be singing Wade in the Water, an African-American spiritual from the era of slavery. Like many MAP songs, this spiritual employed biblical themes to disguise instructions for escape. It was sung at baptisms, and Harriet Tubman also used it to warn escapees to wade in the water to throw off dogs and trackers. First, we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And we will gather at the river together again. The river of our blue boat home. Our service has ended, and now our service to one another and the world begins. We are a people, regular people with extraordinary commitment. We are doing many things to create a better world in our local community. And as we do that, I still encourage you to take precautions, to wear masks, keep your distance, wash your hands. This isn't over, folks. Probably won't be for a while. So we're going to hang together and keep each other strong and whole and healthy as we travel together on this strange journey we're on together.